Hey there, I'm Samantha Lynn from Wildflower Wellness, and I am going to be sharing a 60-minute sequence, a Hatha Flow sequence. The theme this week is flexibility. I just finished vending at the Lilac Festival this weekend, and as much as I wanted to hold class in person, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to hold class via Facebook. And what better way to practice than outside, right? It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining. Why not come outside and breathe and just feel the warmth on your skin? If you are watching today, my Venmo is weeds-2-wildflowers. And you can also just find that by following the link in bio. That being said, when I think of flexibility, I think of flexibility not just in the body, right? A lot of times people think of flexibility as being this body type thing, right? But we can be flexible in the mind and in life. If we have a certain way of doing things and we do it a certain way for so long, we can kind of lose touch with new ideas, new concepts, right? New ways of doing things, and become really rigid. If we practice flexibility, we can better approach life challenges, allow people to have their way of viewing things, allowing them to have their own way, and we can feel a lot more fulfilled and a lot more free. I love to think of a plant, right? Like, of course, I'm always like talking about nature, but a plant, if the wind comes, it learns how to build strength. So when the wind comes, it doesn't just break. And when I think of the wind, I think of some like uncontrollable force, or it could just be something that is different. What does the wind mean to you, right? So we'll be practicing embodying flexibility today while we're on the mat. So if you would like to join me, you can be inside, you can be outside, whatever you prefer. All you need is a nice yoga mat. Even the mat is optional. It's nice for grip, but if you want to just practice in the grass, I will not judge. Give yourself a moment to get comfortable, beginning to draw your attention inward. Maybe bringing your attention to the sensations of your breath, the feeling of the fresh air in your nostrils, or whatever air is around you, if you're inside, outside. Just noticing that feeling of breath coming in through the nose and down into the chest as you exhale. Wherever you are, just start to notice the sounds of your environment. Maybe the sound of birds or wind chimes, some light traffic in the background, the rustling of trees. Or maybe the hum of a fan or a refrigerator. Maybe the sounds of children playing. Whatever's there, just noticing without judgment. And if the mind wanders, bringing it back to the sensations of breathing, the sensations of your environment. Maybe feeling the air on your skin or the difference in temperature between the surface of your skin and the air around you. Then we'll go ahead and take in 3 nice deep breaths together, inhaling through our nose, holding once we get to the top, and then slowly exhale. Another nice full in-breath through your nose. Hold. And then slowly exhale. And one more nice full in-breath through your nose. Hold. Inhale a little bit more. Hold. Inhale a little bit more. Hold. And then slowly exhale. Beautiful. Now slowly begin to return to your natural rhythm of breathing, gently bringing your attention back to the space around you. All right, and we'll go ahead and begin our warm up together. We'll inhale, kind of sweep our arms up overhead. We'll interlace our fingers, press our palms towards the sky. Inhale a little bit more. And then as you exhale, we'll side bend over to the left. Your right fingertips will come up and over. Gaze towards the sky or the ceiling. And then inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, press towards the sky. Inhale. And then as you exhale, side bend over to the right. Your left fingertips will come up and over. And breathe here. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, press towards the sky. Inhale a little bit more. And then as you exhale, twist to the left. Your right fingertips will come to your left knee. And breathe here, finding some length as you inhale. And just gently twisting as you exhale. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, press towards the sky. Inhale a little bit more, and then as you exhale, twist to the right. Your left fingertips will come to your left knee, your right knee, and then your right fingertips will come back behind you. And breathe here. Finding that length as you inhale, and then just gently twisting as you exhale. Not pushing, just allowing ourselves to find the way naturally. And then inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, inhale a little bit more. And then exhale, float your hands down. Inhale, bring your hands back behind your head. Interlace your fingers, kind of creating these little leaflets, right? So we have our stem and then we have our little leaves. And we're going to practice kind of being a little flexible, right? With the wind. The wind is coming. We have to, and maybe even a storm, right? Maybe like rain is coming. And if we don't strengthen our stem, if we don't learn how to move with the wind, with the storm, then we may not, we may not make it. So let's just try to strengthen ourselves a little bit. We'll inhale Send our heart to the sky, gaze to the sky. And then as you exhale, bring your chin to your chest, round your elbows over your head. And then inhale, gaze towards the sky. Exhale, chin to chest, elbows closing over your head. And do this a few times, just kind of embodying this leaf, this little sproutling, like kind of moving with the wind, learning how to move with the wind. Beautiful. Just a few more times, inhaling and exhaling, not pushing, just kind of allowing your body to tell you where is comfortable in this pose. Beautiful. And then exhale, release your hands. Great. And then we'll bring our hands to our knees and we'll just do some seated cat cows. So same kind of idea. We'll send our heart and our gaze forward and then exhale, just round through your upper back. And move at your own pace here. A few more times. Great. As I was moving through this kind of sequence or that like little cat cow sequence, I was thinking of how rigid I used to be with my wardrobe, right? I felt called to share this because I'm sure we all have certain things that feel like we just can't do it any other way, right? When I would pick a shirt, I would just be like, well, I picked it. This is the shirt I'm wearing. It didn't matter if I felt uncomfortable or if I didn't feel confident. I'd be like, well, that's the shirt I picked. That's the shirt I'm wearing. Then I remember one time I picked, as I was practicing, incorporating all these different life themes into my life, I remember grabbing hold of a shirt and being like, oh, I really don't want to wear this. And the theme flexibility came through, and I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, I can be flexible. I can like choose another shirt. Like, I don't have to wear that one. And I made that rule because I used to change my clothes all the time, right? So it was like, nope, but how can we incorporate balance, right? So not overdoing the wardrobe changes, but also allowing myself to be flexible. So that was just one thing that was coming through as I was moving through that little cat cow sequence. But now we're going to come into tabletop with our hands directly underneath of our shoulders and our knees hip distance apart. And then we'll sink our hips back and come into child's pose. And just allow yourself to come into whatever variation feels comfortable for you, which could be with just your legs folded underneath of you. You could have a wide-legged child's pose. And just tune into your body. Feeling your rib cage expand as you inhale. And then we'll come into thread the needle. We'll inhale, send our left hand to the sky. And then as we exhale, thread that left hand underneath of the right, sending your right fingertips up towards the top of the mat. And then just breathe here. If your shoulder is a little tight here, you can send your right fingertips to your nose and just use your right hand to kind of lift yourself up as you begin to open up that shoulder. And breathe. Send your right fingertips to your nose, and then as you inhale, come back into child's pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, send your right hand towards the sky. And then as you exhale, thread that right arm underneath of the left, sending those left fingertips to the top of the mat. And breathe here. And then if any external factors come into the environment, maybe there's a lawnmower in the background, maybe there's a child requesting attention, just notice and breathe and allow yourself to return to your body. And if you need to tend to the environment in some way, allow yourself to do so. We are on Facebook Live. We have flexibility here. You can always pause the video and come back to it. A few more breaths here. And then inhale, return to child's pose. Inhale, you'll walk your hands back up into Thunderbolt. And then we'll come back into tabletop. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Pressing all four corners of your hands into the mat here. This microphone is right in front of my face, so I'm sorry if you hear a little extra microphone noises, rustling, whatever might be there. And then inhale, lift your left leg high to the sky. And then as you exhale, step it towards the top of your mat. You're going to drop your right knee, untuck your toe, and then just begin to kind of open up your left leg. We'll be doing this kind of flow where as we inhale, we'll come into this kind of crescent lunge, this low crescent lunge. And then as we exhale, we will kind of round our back over our left leg here, straightening that left leg. And then inhale, coming forward. And exhale, lengthening that left leg. And then just doing this a few times at your own pace, working with your leg. Beautiful. And then when we are finished, we feel complete, we'll come back towards the top of our mat. Walk your left leg, your left foot to the outer edge of your mat, and then bring your hands to the insides of that left foot. Gaze forward and breathe here. And breathing through whatever is present. If we feel a little distracted, it's okay, right? It's all right. We're going to continue the practice no matter where we are. And so then you can come onto your forearms if you feel comfortable. Just gaze forward. Gaze towards the mat. See, sometimes when we have external distractions, we get distracted, right? Our mind starts to wander. So just bringing it back to the mat. I feel like the only reason I'm extra distracted is that my neighbor tends to mow his lawn like every day for some reason. But anyways, we'll come back to our lizard lunge. coming up onto our hands with our arms extended. And then walk your left foot back to center. Tuck your right toes. Lift your left leg back to meet the right, coming into downward facing dog. And then breathe here, lengthening through your spine and breathing. Inhale, reach your right leg high to the sky. Exhale, step it forward. Untuck, drop your knees to the mat, untuck your toes, gaze forward. And then as you exhale, begin to straighten that right leg, rounding your back over that right leg. Inhale, coming forward. And exhale, lengthening. And just do this at your own pace, kind of stretching that right leg. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, round and lengthen. Inhale, come forward. When you feel complete, we'll walk our right foot to the outer edge of our mat, bringing our hands inside of that right foot. And then if we can stay right here, right? So checking in with your hips, seeing what feels comfortable. If we feel like we want to move a little deeper, we can come onto our forearms, keeping our gaze towards the mat and breathing here. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back to the mat. Tuck your back toes. Lift that left leg. Bring your right foot back to meet the left, coming into downward facing dog, lengthening through the spine, pressing all four corners of those hands into the mat and breathing here. And as we're here, we're relaxing our neck. A lot of people can tend to like hold their neck upward, but we really just want to relax the neck here, pressing all four corners of those hands into the mat. Beautiful. And then at your own pace, you can walk your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet, whatever feels comfortable for you, coming into forward fold. And grasp opposite elbows here, dangle side to side. And then when you're feeling like you want to join me standing, can slowly, one by one, start to stack your vertebrae one on top of the other, kind of taking as much time as you possibly can to come up to standing. Very slowly start to stack one vertebrae on top of the other. Great. And now we are here, standing. Great. So, we'll bring our feet hip distance apart. Bring our arms out to a T. As we inhale, gaze towards the sky, open your arms out wide. And then as you exhale, round through your upper back, bring your chin to your chest and close your hands together. Inhale, open your arms out wide, gaze towards the sky. And then exhale, chin to chest, rounding through your upper back, closing your hands together. Inhale, gaze towards the sky like you're a bird, and then go at your own pace. Exhale, chin to chest, rounding through your upper back. And a couple more times. And then as you inhale the last time, exhale, send your hands to your sides. Beautiful. Now we'll kind of open our shoulders up a little bit more. We'll send our left hand towards the sky as we inhale. Exhale, bend your right hand, kind of bending your elbow. And I want to mention breathing here, right? So we use our breath because it helps with mindfulness, right? As we inhale up, exhale down, inhale this pose, exhale that pose. It really helps with the mind-body connection and with breath awareness. So I'll start that over again. We'll kind of inhale, send our left hand up to meet the sky. And then as we exhale, bend your elbow. Inhale, send your right hand to the side, flip your palm. And then as you exhale, bend your elbow. Maybe your fingers touch, maybe they don't. If they don't, just imagine that they are and just gently start to bring them together. Even if it's just like an energetic bringing them together. Great. And then slowly unwind. Beautiful. Inhale, send your right hand towards the sky. Exhale, bend your elbow. Inhale, send your left hand out to the side. Flip your palm. And then exhale, bend your elbow, bringing your fingertips to touch. If they do, if they don't, that's okay. And noticing if one side is different than the other, right? Without judgment. We're not saying this side is better and that side's not. We're just noticing where the body is and breathing. Great. And then slowly unwind. Perfect. Now we'll come into a couple standing poses together. So we'll bring our feet about 3 to 5 feet apart. Make sure your feet are parallel, your heels are nice and in line. And then pivot your right foot towards the top of your mat. Inhale. Bring your arms out to a T. And then as you exhale, bend that front knee, coming into warrior two. And we want to make sure our knee is stacked directly over the ankle, right? And our torso is nice and centered. We're not too far back or too far forward. And then this outer edge of our foot is nice and planted. And breathe here. Inhale, tilt forward, flip your palm. Exhale, lift those fingertips up and back into peaceful warrior, gazing towards the sky or the ceiling, and breathing. Bending that front right leg. Inhale, begin to cartwheel forward, bringing your right elbow to your right knee and your left fingertips up and over. Breathing. Great, and then inhale, come back up into warrior two. Straighten that right leg, pivot your foot coming into 5-point star, and then we'll go to the other side. So pivot your left foot to meet the top edge of your mat. Inhale, and then exhale, sink into that left leg. Breathing here, making sure that knee is stacked directly over the ankle. Your back right foot is nice and planted. And breathe here. Inhale, tilt forward. Exhale, flip the palm up and back into peaceful warrior. Breathing here. Inhale, cartwheel forward, bringing your left elbow to your left knee, right fingertips up and over, and breathe here. And you may notice when you're outside, the ground may be a little uneven, right? So it really helps with the flexibility even more. And breathe. Inhale, come back up into warrior two. Straighten that left leg, pivot your foot and then parallel your feet. Then we'll come into goddess, okay? So we're gonna do kind of a goddess flow. We'll bring the heels of our feet inwards slightly. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. And then as you exhale, sink into goddess, sink into your hips, open your arms out into cactus. And then sometimes we can kind of tilt our pelvis forward. We want to tuck our tailbone. We don't want to be like arching back or anything like that, but just make sure you're nice and even here and just breathe. And then if you'd like, you could come up and out of it as you inhale and then exhale, sink back into it. Just checking in with your hips and what feels good for you. Inhaling and exhaling. Maybe we'll bring our hands back behind our head and we'll just do a little side bend to each side. Beautiful. And then when we feel ready, come out of it. Inhale, lengthen your arms up to the sky, bring your hands to your hips, and then heel toe your feet together. All right, great. Perfect. So now we'll just wind back down. To do that, we'll do the same thing that we did when we got up here, right? So slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, just roll down. Nice and slow. Beautiful. Then bring your hands to the mat. Bring your feet about hip distance apart. And then you'll step your feet back into downward facing dog, pressing all four corners of those hands into the mat. And then exhale, bring your knees to the mat and sink back into child's pose. Great. And then as we inhale, we'll shift our self forward, kind of bringing our pelvis down into the mat and coming up into cobra. Pressing those hands into the mat, rounding down your shoulders, gazing forward. And then slowly lower down. All right. And then bring your forearms out in front of you, coming into Sphinx pose. Feeling this nice little back bend here. Breathing. And then slowly lower down onto your belly. We'll bring our hands into a T. We'll come into scorpion. So slowly roll onto your right shoulder. We'll bend our knees here. You can bring your head to the mat and just send your left fingertips in front of you, opening up that right shoulder here and breathing. then you'll lengthen your legs, roll onto your belly, come into a T, and then roll onto your left shoulder, bending your knees and sending your right fingertip to the front of your chest and breathing here. Lengthen your legs, come onto your belly, come into a T, and then bring your hands to your sides and gently lift yourself up and back into child's pose. Take a couple more breaths here. And then walk your hands back to meet your body. We'll lengthen our legs out in front of us. And I will check the time one time just to make sure we are still on schedule. And we are. Great. Oh, sometimes we can lose track of time when there's a lot happening that's outside of our control, right? So we'll have our legs lengthened out in front of us. I want us to kind of bend our knees a little bit and come into a forward fold. So we'll inhale, reach our arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, folding at your hips, send your heart forward over your feet, kind of coming into this caterpillar pose. And imagining yourself as a little caterpillar, right, moving through the world, munching away, gathering everything it needs to turn into a butterfly. And I love thinking of flexibility here too, because maybe some of us are in caterpillar form, and I feel like this happens throughout life. Just because you're a caterpillar now doesn't mean you weren't a butterfly, and just because you're a butterfly doesn't mean you weren't a caterpillar. It's kind of like this wheel that just keeps turning. We keep going through the same stages over and over. And then as we inhale, we'll reach our arms up overhead. And exhale, send your hands back behind you as if we kind of just busted out of our cocoon, right? We were a caterpillar, we went into that little pupa form or made a chrysalis, whatever you want to call it. And then now it's time to fly, right? It's time to test out our wings. So we have to dry them off, we have to stretch them out. So we'll open our legs out into a V, right? We'll take our left heel into our pelvis, keep that right leg nice and extended. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then as you exhale, side bend over to the right as if you're kind of stretching out your wings, right? Learning how to use them, learning what to do with them. Inhale, come back to the sky. Exhale, fold, bring your hands down. Fold them, like fold your wings down. Send your hands down beside you. And then we'll move to the other side. So lengthen your left leg, bring your right heel to your pelvis. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, side bend over to the left this time. Gaze towards the sky, breathing. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. And then exhale, float your hands down beside you. Great. Now bring both of your feet together, the soles of your feet together, coming into butterfly. Now we're full butterfly, right? Maybe we've been a butterfly many times. Maybe it's our first time being a butterfly, right? And just imagine yourself as this transformed butterfly, this transformed creature, whatever you are. If you want to be a moth, that's okay too. And just think of everything it took to get here, to this place. Oof. And just connecting with that in your own unique way, whatever it feels like for you. There's no wrong or right way to feel. Great. And then we'll come into this kind of balancing butterfly pose, right? So we'll bring our hands to our feet and then we'll lift our feet up, lengthen through your spine here. If it's your first time doing this, you may be shaking. I did that. And then you find your balance and then you're here. And then maybe you'll grab hold of your toes, right? And lengthen your legs out. Maybe giving yourself some 2 thumbs up, right? Finding that length in your spine. And then bringing the soles of your feet together again and coming back into butterfly. If you'd like, you can also come into a nice forward fold. So starting at your hips, just start to walk your hands forward. Stopping wherever your hips start to say hello. If that's here, that's here. If that's here, it's here. If that's here, here. Maybe you kiss your feet, maybe not. Depends on how you feel about them. And then just breathe wherever you are. Finding that length. If we're rounding, that's okay, but try to find some length before you round. And then when you feel complete, slowly walk your hands back to your body and then bring your knees to meet. And we'll come into a reclined position with your knees hugged into your chest. You can rock side to side here. Kind of massaging yourself with the mat underneath of you or the earth. Maybe there's some lumps. Just if there are some lumps, just view it as like the pressure point that needs to be there. Like it's getting the spot that's needed. And then come into stillness. Great. So we're going to come into a nice twist together. But before that, we're going to reach or lengthen our right foot. Keep our left knee hugged into our body. Lengthen that right leg down to the mat. And breathe here. Connecting with your left leg. And begin to make some circles with your foot here in one direction. And then the other. And then the other. And then the other. But just being mindful, if we go, too much in one way and then the other way, we can kind of lose track of what we're doing and then it's not so great. So just practicing what that feels like for you. Great. And then bend your right leg, kind of bringing your knee to meet the sky. And we're going to take our left ankle and hook it onto that right knee. Okay, so then interlace your fingers behind that right thigh and slowly start to hug your hips and your legs into your body. Oof. You're going to hug your legs into your body and open your hips. And this is one of the poses I love to practice, kind of this kind of engaging, like flexibility, right? So as we inhale, we'll lengthen that right leg, right? We're engaging. Maybe that's engaging in conversation. Maybe that's engaging in social media. Maybe that's engaging in some type of activity or some project, right? And then exhale, releasing and surrendering, right? Sometimes we take action and sometimes we have to surrender. Both are necessary. Like surrender to something bigger, right? Like sometimes we can't control everything. It doesn't matter how many times we talk about it. It doesn't matter how many times we try to fix it. It doesn't matter how many times we, try to solve a problem. There's a point where we have to let go and let the universe kind of take over, let something beyond us take over. And so as we inhale, again, lengthen, practice engaging, and exhale, surrendering. Like maybe there's a way, but we aren't the way, right? I've had to learn that many times, like with certain things. Great. And then we'll release our legs, hug our knees into our body. And then we'll lengthen that left leg down to meet the mat, hug that right leg in, connect with that right leg. And same thing as the other side, move your ankle in one direction and then the other. And then moving it around the other way and then the other way, but taking your time and kind of experimenting with mindfulness here. And feeling your muscles engage here. Great. So then bend that left leg to where your knee is now meeting the sky, and then bring your right ankle to hook onto that left leg. Interlace your fingers behind your left thigh, and then slowly hug your legs into your body. Breathing into that hip and experimenting with that engaging. Lengthening the leg. I didn't wear bug spray. I didn't put my bug spray on. So far, I haven't had too many problems, but I just had one land on me. Exhale, surrender. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. And then just do this at your own pace. Great. And then we'll unhook our legs, bring our knees into our chest again, give ourselves one more squeeze. Maybe we'll come into happy baby, bringing our hands to the outer edges of our feet and rocking side to side. You can be a little free with your happy baby, right? Be a little flexible, allow yourself to experiment here. And then when you feel complete, maybe come into one more full body stretch. Walking your hands over to the right and then walking your feet over to the right. Coming into banana. Walk your hands back to center and your feet back to center. And then walk your hands over to the right and your feet over to the right. Sorry, the left. We're on the left now. And this is like another reason why I love practicing in nature, because it really helps with the nervous system, right? Like a piece of grass touching my ankle in a certain way may like make me freak out. And then I realize that it's just a piece of grass. And I'm like, oh, I'm okay. This is grass. And then I'm not so triggered by nature. And breathe here in this little C shape on the left. And then walk your feet back to center, your hands back to center. And then bring your hands to your sides and then just come into a nice, relaxing Shavasana. And kind of adjust accordingly, maybe lengthening one leg and then the other, one arm and then the other. Softening the shoulders and the jaw. Maybe rocking your head side to side a little bit. And as you're here, start to let go, start to soften, scanning your body from the crown of your head all the way down to your toes. And if the attention drifts, just bringing it back to the body, back to the sensations of breathing. Woo! And see, my nervous system is used to being out here now, so it's laughing instead of screaming. This, I was just like so gracefully loving the sound of this airplane, treating it like it was a sound bath kind of instrument. And then I just had this bug go right into my ear, like, what about me? And bringing yourself back to the body and back to the breath. And take a few more breaths here, slowly beginning to kind of deepen your breath. You can also stay here as long as you'd like. Since we're on Facebook Live, you can You can lay here longer if you'd like. But if you are feeling complete, slowly bring some gentle movement into your fingers and your toes. And gently make your way over to one side. Taking a few more breaths here. And when you feel complete, you can slowly make your way up to seated, taking as much time as you need to get there. All right, and we'll close our practice today with a nice unified Om. We'll inhale and exhale Om together. Thank you so much for joining me in practice today. The light in me sees, honors, and appreciates the light in you. Namaste.